speaking of the Clippers, man, we also was able to have a conversation. We've been talking about Shea, bro. We've been talking about the Thunder, what they're doing, and Shea is being Mr. Consistent.
Yep.
I don't know. 'Cause I heard him call himself like Mr. Consistent in an interview like last year or something like that. That may need to be his nickname, like official nickname, Mr.
I
Consistent,
like that.
because that's who we've been,
That's who
bro.
he is.
But looking back, because it is very easy in general to look back in hindsight and say, "Oh yeah, this looks good now. Or you should have did this. You should have did that." Looking back, do you think it is that the trade that the Clippers made to acquire Paul George for right getting rid of Shea? Um, do you think the Clippers made a bad move, or do you think it was the right move at that time to get PG?
Like you said, hindsight is 2020. Now
Hmm.
that we've had opportunity to see what those picks and what Shea has kind of, manifested into. At the time, I don't think it was a terrible idea, right?
Agreed.
Because as we previously discussed, PG was coming off an MVP caliber season. I think he was top five in MVP voting that year that he got traded.
Hmm.
And you were bringing him back home to eventually pair with Kawhi Leonard, who
Hmm.
had just won a championship in Toronto. And so naturally it seemed like an ideal pairing. You got two long, versatile wing defenders who are capable of being, 1A, 1B on the offensive end,
Yeah.
and they get to be back home. It made sense at
It
the
made
time.
sense. It made
Um,
sense.
I don't think that the Clippers could have anticipated how valuable those picks would have been, though, or that Shea
No.
was going to end up becoming what he is now.
Mm. Yeah,
I
because
mean, they gave
I didn't
up.
see this with Shea. I don't know if you did. I didn't get to catch Shea a whole bunch in Kentucky. It's been weird. A lot of Kentucky guards, like Devin Booker, came off the bench. I think Shea came off the bench for a bit.
Yep,
Like they've always had these guards that just figure it out. Like we already
yep.
know they come in, they're talented, but so I didn't see this from Shea, and so everyone is just saying, "Oh, yeah, Clippers are terrible for that trade." I'm like, bro, Paul George was hooping that year that they traded for Shea. But I think the elephant in the room, and to me, the caveat of that whole trade was Kawhi. Kawhi has just not been
Right,
healthy. And I
right.
think it could have worked because Paul George at this time too, he's accepting being a number two player. He's like, you know what, I'll be the number two guy. Doesn't matter.
Because he was secondary to Russ, right?
So he didn't care at that point. He got out of Indiana and it was just like, you know what, I just want to be able to put this ball in the hoop, play defense, right? But just I don't think he wanted to blame anymore, which I hated that for Paul George because I ultimately think he has 1A talent. He's not a 1B player. His mentality is a secondary player.
Right.
Talent screams you can be KD, you can be LeBron. Like we saw you go toe to toe with LeBron for those years in the Eastern Conference. So,
Yep.
but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I do think Clippers made a good trade. Now, would I let all those picks go? Maybe not, but you probably had to because you acquired a MVP caliber player in Paul George.
It was
Like,
it was commensurate to what you were receiving. Well, I mean, what you were giving away.
and it's almost like that's like the going price for players like that. Like, and I know we'll get to it later today, but Giannis is not going away for just for some pennies. He's going to go at a asking price,
Yeah,
and
it's
there's
gonna cost
not
you a
that
bit of
many
your
teams,
future.
and there's not many of those teams who have that. It's going to cost you some players, and you're going to have to probably sign some players in the free agency for minimum
Yep.
deals because you're going to have to get rid of some of those contracts and players that maybe have expiring contracts before the year is up to where they can dump and then rebuild around that player that you just
Yep.
acquired. But I'm even looking at the trade with again with Shea. But the Clippers receive, of course, Paul George. But Thunder
Right.
got Shea, Gallinari. They got Miami's Heat 2021 pick, which that turned into
Yep.
Trey Man. They got Clippers pick 2022, which turned into Jalen Williams, which we know
J.
who he
Will.
is now. They had a 2023 pick with the Clippers. That was a swap. They didn't keep that. 2024 unprotected first rounder. 2025 Heat.
That was a protected.
Uh, Yep. And then it's going to be unprotected for 2026. So they should have Heat's picks now for this year. And then a right to swap with the Clippers last year. Don't think they did. And then this year, which is what everyone's talking about now, they have the Clippers 2026 unprotected
That
first
unprotected.
round. So the Clippers have the
He cooked.
opportunity to do a huge favor for the Thunder and give them a top five pick potentially.
Sam
And
cooked
knowing
though.
how and bruh, knowing how the NBA works, if Thunder can win this year and the NBA's like, you know what? We need to build a dynasty. Let's keep this thing rolling. Give them a number one pick. Give them a number one pick.
He cooked with them picks though. I wouldn't have
Bruh.
felt comfortable giving up that much draft capital. I understand, obviously, letting Shea go at the time. I understand Gallinari letting him go, and even a
Mm,
portion of these picks, particularly the
mm,
swaps, because you don't know exactly what those are going to end up being. But I mean, he gave away one, two, three, four, five, six, seven picks and two starters.
yeah, bro. And but they
That
they
is so
were
crazy.
and I'm trying to take my mind back to that time, bro, of what Paul George was doing. And Paul George was incredible. But my concern, which is what it's always been about Paul George, is not his style of play, but the personality.
Yep.
Like for him to idolize Kobe, I never feel like he had that Mamba mentality as again what his play speaks to. And I'm one of the biggest Paul George fans again from Indy, right? And
Yep.
I was rooting for the Pacers all them years, like against Miami. So people were cheering
They had great
for.
teams.
They had a great team, man. I still wish Steven Jackson and them didn't get in that fight because I do think we would have won that year because it was us in Detroit kind of going head to head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, man, Paul George was that guy, but I was always concerned with him because of just the mentality. I never thought that after he left Indiana, it was just I just want to play. It was a lot of he just seemed to not take accountability anymore. And I'm like, he's too good of a player for that. So that was my only concern about Paul George at that time.
And I wonder how much of that was a result to all of the nagging injuries he continued to keep dealing with. I mean, obviously, he had that really gruesome injury in USA
USA.
basketball, and he has talked about how that kind of changed his psyche a little bit. It's hard
Hmm.
to remain confident and to trust your body when you've gone through something so traumatic. So I've
Yeah.
always wondered for guys like him if constantly battling injuries, constantly trying to, fight through physical therapy and get your mind back right. If that too also affects the mental and emotional fortitude that you need to still be a 1A guy.
Yeah, and I believe it's that.
But
I
we,
believe it probably was that because I was
you know
thinking
what I
we saw
mean?
that
But
with
we've seen
Clay.
other guys get through it.
Mm,
Yep, Clay is a great example. But I mean, I guess on the contrast, you see somebody like Steph Curry who kind of figured it out. Early in his career, he dealt with
KD.
those ankle injuries. KD's another one, So I don't know, but it is unfortunate to see what Paul George has become versus what he
Mm.
was.
But do you think it's unfair for us? And I'll speak for me, and you can tell me your thoughts too. Is it unfair for me to look at Paul George as a talent in the same light as like a KD? That's how I saw Paul George at that time.
No, I don't think that you're off base by saying that. Paul George is an
Mm.
all-world talent
Yeah,
for sure. Again, I think all his issues exist in between the ears.
yeah,
You
and
know,
that sucks.
it does. It does. Because who wouldn't give to be 6'9" with his level of versatility and athleticism, especially when he was healthy? Oh my God. Yeah, Paul George was different.
He's the prototype to me. Who he is, he's a prototype NBA player. He's who
Yep.
the Thunder saw in Jalen Williams and what everyone wants to mimic now. You want wings like him. You want a Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson's hooping right now. You want a Jason Tatum, a Jalen Brown.
Yep.
To me, like Paul George is from that mode of Scottie Pippen, but just a little bit evolved into a different type of scorer and defender. But to me,
Totally
him,
agree.
Scottie Pippen, like that's that mode. You need players like that on your roster to compete for championships,
Yep.
especially in today's game. You need those type of wings. So, um, Yeah, man, I think it's been a crazy ride to hear about that trade and see what it's turned into. I saw Instagram people were making jokes about it was all fun and games when they were trading for seventh graders, but now, right, Thunder's
That
NBA
seventh
champs,
grader is Jay Will and Chet Holmgren. Yeah.
and now they NBA champs, and it looks like they're about to do the same thing again.
Repeat.
Without hopefully they don't have any injuries and things of that nature.